But cold, low temperature 2 degrees above zero. Partly sunny, cold Saturday, high 18. For KTUI, I'm meteorologist Jim Rinaldi.
KTUI time is 10:05, and the current temperature is 30 degrees.
Hey, good morning and welcome back. Here we are live at the White Mule Winery on the high plains of Gasconade County. We are all the way up to 27 degrees here on the high plains and a beautiful blue sky, some skiffs of snow out here that Gracie hasn't cleaned off the deck yet, but yesterday was good, today will be good, and tomorrow will be different, but it'll still be good. We have survived through the Arctic blast, at least on the first phase of that, and it appears that, salmon companies and the weather has said that we got some 3 degrees on the way, but maybe only one night, and, we've been through the worst, so keep the faucets dripping because you never ever know, especially if you live, in an older house or even a newer house or whatever, and keep the cattle waters running because it ain't over yet, but we hope that we're getting closer. The calendar says we're getting a little closer to spring, but one of my observations this week is what the weather does to us, how it changes us and how we focus on that, and we always have around the farm and when we grew up, because extreme weather in regard to the winter causes a lot of work, and it causes a lot of pre-planning and thought, because when you got livestock running around and you got wood furnaces to fire and you've got water to keep going everywhere, it just a lot on your mind, but it's fulfilling. Even the days that me and the boys and my hard hand boys have spent, I ask them every night because it gets to be long days and cold, but there is a certain amount of I don't know, what do you think, Grace? A certain amount of tiredness, of course, but accomplishment, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Just to be able to get through and get the waters all on thawed, and the cattle, that you got them fed and watered, it does feel good to make it through each and every day, and it kind of makes you live that way, which there's nothing wrong with. We can't look to tomorrow because we got way too much here to do today, and that's a good thing. One of my other observations, and probably a lot of you all, aren't we thankful that the Iowa caucuses are over? Because, however you look at things, now we just got New Hampshire and South Carolina and all the rest. But, we've talked about Iowa caucuses for, it seems like well over a year, and there just wasn't many surprises in the end there, and I'm thankful that at least that portion is behind us, and we'll see what goes on as we move forward. A lot of decisions are yet to be made, and like I said, not even though we talked a couple of weeks ago about, in my opinion, the faulty polling, that is out there, and I don't think people are willing to share their full views, to somebody calling. I know that I'm not, because I just know if I share my full views, they're going to call again and again and again. So I don't, even try to answer those particular situations. But anyway, that part of it's behind us. We'll move on and see what comes in the next 9 months. It'll be interesting, to say the least. We probably won't be bored with it, but most of us will shut it off and go on with the wonderful lives that we have here in our area. And I've said it many times before, and again today, that where else would you rather be, no matter what it is, but living in our area and our culture and the people that are around us, it's just absolutely spectacular. We have a guest this morning, as you can see if you're looking on Facebook that, or watching on Facebook, that actually the first time she's been on the radio that I recall here with us. But Anita Altemeyer, Nate Ferris, is with us today. She's opened, she'd been in this for a year or two, you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's been almost 3.5 years.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. So, but she'd been a PT for how long? I guess it's a PT, isn't it?
Yeah, it's physical therapist, yeah.
Yes. Is there other things that regard to the physical therapy that have different initials?
So whenever I graduated 15 years ago, which seems crazy to me that I've been in the profession that long, you had to get your master's degree. So they have since transitioned to a doctorate degree that you have to get your doctorate to become a PT.
Wow.
So that'll add a letter to the back of your initials. So.
Well, Anita, it's an area of medicine that has grown unbelievable in I don't know. I'm getting old, so I don't know what time limit to put on our timetable. But in the last 20 or 30 years, phenomenal how much your business has changed, how many more people accredit you, with healing, and helping with the therapy, and to give a quality of life that used to come home from surgery or injury or stroke and, kind of on your own to some degree. But now the PT puts their arms around us, you know what I'm saying, and does everything they possibly can to achieve a quality of life that we had before, whatever has happened.
Yeah, that's the whole point of, PT is just getting back to your optimal health, your greatest potential of being able to move, be pain-free. You were talking earlier about how this weather outside has been affecting, farmers and landowners and
Older people, younger people, but younger.
The amount of falls, the amount of disability that happens just in the weather, and then even everyday activity. It is my pleasure to be able to help people move past that, or be able to sustain a lifestyle that's far into their years, where possibly before people were retiring at 55, 60 years old just because their bodies couldn't do it anymore. And fortunately we're able to help them extend that by decades, and do things like that. So.
Which adds to everything,
Sure.
It adds to your quality of life, but it also adds to your economic, situation. You being able to participate in grandkids, activities, which is quality of life, but it's quality of life for them too, because, we were just talking earlier about, the Altemeyer family, you know what I'm saying, and culturally how blessed everybody is around them, to be part of that particular culture. They do family as nobody else that I've known of, and we've all got great families that we come from.
Absolutely.
Don't misunderstand me, but culturally, Marge just put together a harem
Yes, they
of
did.
a whole lot of people.
Yes.
And even though she's gone, it still lives on in her kids and her grandkids, and it's just so much part of our community, our collective community, and that comes from being active.
Absolutely. I remember when Chris and I started dating, and we dated forever, but I remember going to family gatherings and just being absolutely amazed with, how active she was, and how, her and Floyd both, they would be at every basketball game, every softball of mine, and I wasn't even part of the family, but they wouldn't miss it. They love to see people active. They loved being active, and that just permeated through the entire family. And it's the Altemeyers are a very special crew. It's one of the reasons that I married into them is just because of what Marge and Floyd have developed in their family, and it's fun being an Altemeyer. It really is.
They work at it, and make everybody around them, feel very, very special, and it's a unique situation, but being active and staying active and being part of family is a physical, mental, situation that if you're not there, you have to get back, or you have to get back into it.
Sure.
To enjoy those quality of life, and
Sure.
and that's where you come in.
Sure.
Because I remember an older gentleman here that was a farmer that was very heavy, what I'm saying, and a bachelor, and he had some health issues, as we all do, of one sense or the other. But when he started going, I think he was doing some swim therapy or something. When he come out of this thing, and he had a stroke and did whatever, but when he come back from that, I didn't hardly recognize him and what you all had did for him, what physical therapy had did for him, because he was a bachelor and inactive for such a long time. But it gives his last years a whole different meaning, and then when I start, thinking about, wow, what a gift.
Right. Well, thank you. That's our favorite thing, is watching the transformation of people and how they come in in wheelchairs and end up waltzing out, without any assistive device, and they thought their days were over. One of the biggest things that I see whenever we do our intakes on, mechanism of injury or how did this happen, and I see age so often as the cause of their pain or their dysfunction. And I ask them about that all the time. Like, why do you think, that's just part of getting old. That's just part of getting old. And I try to switch that mindset a little bit. And I'm like, oh no, like your body will age, and there's going to be accumulation of things, but we can still make you stronger. I mean, there's research out there saying that 85-year-olds can increase muscle mass, and we do this thing called the Legends class. It's a functional fitness class that goes on 3 days a week, like 8 a.m. And we have 15 athletes in there that are between the ages of 60 to 85, and they're deadlifting like 150 pounds, and they're bench pressing, and they're squatting, and it's so much fun. And it's fun to watch them come in, and maybe they couldn't use their arm before, one of the big things, we have them do burpees, which is so funny. Like, that is like the worst thing, which is getting down onto the ground and getting back up. And one of the biggest things people say, I can't get on the ground and get back up after you hit a certain point. Oh, my knees won't do it. Or, I just don't have the upper body strength. And they're doing 30 of them. They're getting to where they can do that kind of stuff. So they're not afraid of being on the ground. They're not afraid of rolling around. They're not afraid of doing things like that. And, getting up from a chair.
I mean, they don't have to call Grace and say, help.
Right.
I've fallen, Grace.
Yeah, for real. And it's so much fun, though, like, to see their eyes light up when they do it for the first time and think, I've never been able, like, I couldn't tell you the last time I did that. And
what do you call that?
The Legends class. We call it the
No, but
burpees. So you lay down on the ground and then you get right back up.
On purpose.
Yeah, we do. And it's fun because we get to actually practice on how to fall and how to do that kind of stuff so that they're not scared of it. And I think that's, people think that once you hit a certain age, you're done for. And you just get me in the recliner and the lazy boy and let it be. But it's not true. People can be just as active at 70, 80 years old, and than what they were whenever they were 40s,
I'm not quite
50s, 30s.
70, but
We still have hope.
I need it. I see it. Well, here's one of my many problems. One of my many problems is that I do fall down, and I can get up
Okay,
yet
well, that's good.
by myself. But I search for something to hold on to pull
Sure,
up
to
a
pull
little
up.
bit. No, but I can absolutely do it. But one of my problems is, Anita, when I'm out and about working and fixing fence, or I don't pick my feet up like I should, because I know I'm stumbling over these briars and sticks and doing whatever. Is it a mind thing, or is it a body thing that I need to, because I just don't pick them up high enough?
It's probably a combination. We do more balance training than anything. It could be a vestibular thing. One of the big things that we do whenever we have
Not vodka.
like I mean,
No, I'm not going there, because
your wine
I'm
is
bitter.
really good here. That might be a problem too. But no, they had it might be just a combination. I think we've gotten we think that, oh, I'm just not strong enough to pick my feet up, or I just don't move as nimbly as I used to. We work on that kind of stuff as well. It really is a total body thing. I think that when we were talking about the transition from physical therapy and going from a master's to a doctorate degree, we've also kind of changed our way of looking at diseases and diagnoses and things like that. We used to be very disease oriented of, more of the medical model, like, oh, you came in with knee pain, we're going to work on that knee. But now we're starting to realize that that knee pain could be ankle pain or hip pain or back pain, and it really has nothing to do with the knee. So we were able to look at the whole body. Your stumbles out in the field might be, due to, your hips aren't strong enough.
Right.
And so you just keep falling into that. And so you can work on that kind of stuff. And I love the transition that we're making in the physical therapy profession, because we're looking at the whole body. We're looking at the vestibular and like the dizziness and like people, not being able to
It's big out there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's huge. The what do they even call it now? Vertigo.
Vertigo.
You
Yeah.
know,
People
so
have it.
several of the guys that I hunt with, go pheasant hunting with, they've had it and experienced it, and I think occasionally that it's just one of them things. Maybe I've had it. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Because it's just disorientating. You know what I'm saying? And see the stars a little bit.
Yeah,
Or what? I
yeah.
mean, not often, but
It's a wild.
But it is wild to them. I mean, and they get it, and it absolutely stops them.
100%,
I mean, and
yeah.
it has to, because they just can't. They can't
A lot of-
walk. They can't.
A lot of times when you have vertigo, it's the world around you that's spinning. It's not that you're spinning, it's the world around you is spinning. So you're like, I don't know which way to go.
Yeah.
They have so often, people will come in and, the vertigo is a fun thing for me to treat, actually. It's just a few head movements and, just making sure that they don't fly themselves off the table, because they want to be able to do that, because they want to right themselves to the way that they feel like they're spinning. So it's actually one of my very favorite things to treat,
Really?
because we can fix it pretty quickly.
That's that's incredible, Anita, and it's. We're talking about a lot of age, association with, disabilities and therapies, but that's not only it. I mean, your area of expertise has blossomed, into PTs are for youth, they're for babies.
Yes,
You know what I'm
yes.
saying?
Yeah.
They help. After surgeries.
Yes.
I remember when I had heart surgery,
Right,
you know what I'm
right,
saying?
yeah.
One of the first places that I went to try to get, pop your chest open,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, it
Sore.
didn't want to heal.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But just learning how to move around
Yep.
and having your back and, having some therapy did did a lot. It did it.
When I was studying for physical therapy, I had no idea. I was an athlete in high school. I love sports. I still love sports. I still love doing things. But I thought that that's what I was going to go for, is just working with athletes. And when I got into PT school, I realized that you have to learn the entire body from the brain, so like strokes and the neurologic conditions and Parkinson's and things like that, along with, so those are the neurologic components. And then you have
That's what I was thinking about, the neurology part.
Yeah, and then you have to learn about the cardiovascular system.
Yes.
So you're looking at the lungs and
Yes.
the pulmonary, with the heart. And so you have to learn all of that. And then you learn about the muscles and the bones and all the things that you typically would think of PT. But then you look at from just developmental, from and now we're talking about in utero, and something I've done recently is picked up women's health. That's a big trend now in PT, and how we're helping women before before they have their baby, before pregnancy, after pregnancy, postpartum,
In the menopause,
and then hormonal. It's amazing that the PT schools were able to incorporate all of that. I think that's why they went to the doctorate, because we see people through their entire ages. And when I was going to school, I really wanted to specialize in the neurologic conditions, spinal cord injuries, strokes. It was absolutely incredible. But because I knew I was going to marry an Altemeyer and he was not going to leave Owensville in this area, I was like, well, that's not going to work very well.
Something else
Right. So I kind of feel like a jack of all trades, but I love it because it's so much variety whenever I'm working. Like I have a pediatric client that she has cerebral palsy, and so I'm able to work with her and teach her how to crawl and teach her how to walk, and then the very next patient, I'll have somebody that's, 85 years old and, in a wheelchair, and then I'm teaching her how to walk. And then I have my athletes that come in, and then I'm able to, help with their knees or their shoulders. And it really is one of the best jobs, because I get to see so many different types of people, but then also kind of, it stretches my brain. I have to think all the time, when I'm working with people. And
Kind of like when the cows are out of feed.
right. Like, okay, now what am I going to do with you today? So.
I learned an awful lot from my mother, and the older I get, I tell people a lot of times that, Mom was 97, okay, and she taught me a lot. If I would have known that I was going to be approaching 70, I would have followed her advice maybe a little more in my 20s.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but she worked in a nursing home, and so much of her, in my opinion, so much of her longevity had to do with what she was exposed to in the nursing home. I mean, she wasn't a young lady when she went there. I mean, all of the kids and all the grandkids were basically out, or all the kids were gone by a long shot. Before she went to work, she was probably in her 50s or close to 60. But she worked with those people, and she watched them and studied them and seen what they ate, how they went about it, seen how even things. I still think about it every day when I get out of my chair. How Mom showed me to get up out of, don't put your hand down like that. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Arthritic and whatever. Put your whole things down and push yourself up this way. And she watched those and worked with those individuals and seen what it took.
Sure.
Seeing that it took activeness.
Yes.
And it became part of her.
Yes.
She walked and walked and walked for many years until her hip, when she was working, because she seen how much effort it took to do it. So
one of the big pushes that I've been making and trying to discuss this with my patients and my clients is that let's change our focus when we are exercising. Not to think about what we're going to look like in 8 weeks, 6 months, maybe even a year. Let's start thinking about what our last decade of life is actually going to be like. You know, I want, like, that's really the important aspect of being able to work out and be active and be healthy. What do you want to be like when you're in your 80s or 90s? You know, that last decade of life, how active do you want to be? If you want to be really active with your grandkids, and if you really want to be active with, you know, the things that you want to do with your farm, you have to be active now, you know, in your 20s and 30s and 40s, 50s and 60s. Just continuing on, you know, with that. And how much do you have to lift now to be able to lift that, you know, later on in life? You know, and that's one of the things that I'm trying to stress, you know, especially in my, you know, middle age people that are coming in with back pain. I'm like, what are your, not necessarily what are your goals just for therapy, but what are your goals later on in life? What do you want to be able to accomplish? And it's hard for people because they don't really think about that as often.
No.
But I love talking about it because it actually gets them thinking about it. It actually gets them thinking, oh man, if this is where I am now, what kind of work do I have to put in to be able to do it? And I think that puts a little bit more buy-in whenever you are, you know, trying to have therapy fix a problem. But I'm not really there to fix your problem. I'm really there to show you a way of a lifestyle that will be much better for you in the long run.
You're helping them set goals.
Yeah.
You know, the most difficult situation that I see, you know, and have seen through, you know, my life is the people that don't really have any goals. You know what I'm saying? At all. You know, monetarily, you know, family-wide, not, or maybe they have them, but they haven't articulated them. They haven't put them down on paper, you know, and they haven't become part of them.
Right.
They haven't internalized what they really want to do. And
They're the dreams
Yes.
of things that want to happen, right?
And until you internalize them, you know what I'm saying? Until you do that, it sets a whole new purpose, and it sets a whole new thing out in front of you, and that's one of my challenges here with the youth that I work with. You know what I'm saying? That come in. Yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was 15, 16 years old. No, I still don't. You know,
Right.
but I did know that I didn't want to stay where I'm at.
Right.
I did know that I needed some steps that I needed to do, and I wanted to, you know, play football, and I wanted, you know, to, you know, make some money, you know, down the road. I wanted to do this or what. So not absolutely defining them, but having a purpose and making a commitment. That's it. You know, getting that commitment made, and that's exactly what you're talking about, Anita, is that people have to make a commitment
Right.
in order to change where they are, in order to be able to see over the hump of what they might need to do. Not absolutely written down and defined, but it needs to be part of them that they want to, that, you know, that they can see at 80 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Or 30 years old.
Sure.
Or
Sure.
whatever it is,
Sure.
you know.
Yeah.
Wow, you do a lot of good stuff, you know, and you know, let's talk about your potential.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, you know, the therapy place is next to Medley's.
It is next to Medley's.
I don't know why I say that, but it's in Owensville. You know, everybody knows.
Edler Medley's.
Every old people are you know what?
O'Reilly's.
O'Reilly's.
We're right between O'Reilly's and Medley's. And people say that all the time, like, where are you guys located? Well, we're right between, oh, that's your place. And I'm like, yep, that's my place.
It's a big commitment to do what you did.
Yes, yes.
It took one of them goals, and you
Yes.
know, you had to talk with Chris about that, I'm sure, or a little bit,
Yes.
maybe, you know,
Yes.
because it's a huge undertaking
It
to
is.
start a business, you know, and do, but it was in you.
It was fun. So I'll share this story with you whenever we started. So I had plans, you know. Of course, you always have plans and you have goals, and sometimes God doesn't always he knows what you want, but you kind of have to wait.
Gotta work with him.
You gotta work with him. So there was one night, and I had gotten back a bid of, something that I was going to build, and I just knew that it wasn't in the cards at the time. And so Chris came home from, supervision, and I said, I'm going to take this bottle of wine. It was probably
That's good.
And I said, I'm going to
That's a therapeutic wine too,
For sure. And I said, take this bottle of wine, and God and I are going to go have some talks and a discussion. And probably halfway down through the bottle of wine, I said, I just said, you know what I want to do? I need my hands on people. I want to impact this community. I need you to show me how to make this work. I need you to let me know that I'm on the right path. I'm doing the right thing. And I said, I wanted, and by that time, I'm probably getting kind of spicy because of your wine.
Because you're all wrapped up in it.
I am.
You're all in.
I'm all in. And I said, I'm done pushing the rope. I'm done pushing it. I want you to show me, hit me upside the head with a baseball bat, whatever you need to do to make sure that I am so clear on what my purpose is and what my goals are. Well, then 7 a.m. the next morning, one of my best friends, Jody Brown, calls me, and she's talking about potential. So she's talking about her husband had developed, we had gone through this business plan with him, and I had been watching him, and so she was talking to me about it, and she's like, we're expanding, we're growing, and she's like, do you know anything? Like, do you know any places that need it? And and I'm talking to her about.
Isn't that amazing?
Well, I'm talking to her
God
about.
thing, you know?
100%. So I'm talking to her about Stillville and Viburnum and all of these areas that are just rural areas that are really underserved. And unfortunately, that's where I wanted to. That's where I thought that they wanted to be, and that's where they wanted to be. And she said, well, what about Owensville? And so I was like, well, okay, I'm doing my thing. And so then I stopped and I thought, is this the baseball bat? This is the baseball bat. So I said, Jody, what are you asking me? And she said, well, I woke up this morning and God told me it's time to talk to Anita, see if she'll partner with us.
Wow.
And I said, I'm all in. What do we need to do? And so we just partnered up, and lo and behold, 6 months later, we have a big sign on our between Medley's and O'Reilly's, and we opened it up, and it has been absolutely phenomenal since. Absolutely phenomenal. We just busted in. I have hired 4 new therapists,
Wow.
and we are busy, and we are loving life. And people ask me all the time, oh, I'm sure it's super chaotic, and it really isn't, because we love what we do. It's so much fun. And so it's such when you set back and you let God know your goals, and you let God know what you have planned, and just give it to him, he does the most remarkable things and puts the most remarkable people into your life. So yeah, it's been fun.
Anita, I am so. I had no. I knew you were godly, but I didn't know. And when he does that stuff to us, and he does it when we go all in.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then is when he opens it up, and
Yep.
You have faith, and you do those particular things. But the attributes and the things that you do for not only those employees that you have, but everybody in the community senses that, sees that, they become part of that, and it just grows into an area that is awesome and blessing.
Yeah.
There's no question about it at all. And so that's very, very, very wonderful stuff. And let's talk. I want to talk more about the potential,
Sure,
what I'm saying,
sure.
because so many ailments, I see arthritic kind of situation in here. I mean, you see me hobbling around on my knees sometimes and do whatever. And, my knees, I haven't had them checked in a while. I know I have wonderful caregivers at Mercy. I mean, absolutely the best, and a lot of wonderful doctors, as you and nurse practitioners that really spend time with me, and I'm blessed to do that. But that said, I've kind of let my arthritic and my knees and those kind of things go a little bit. But what do you do? What do you do for the arthritic kinds of issues that
Sure.
that come there, and how do you have therapy for that?
Sure. So a lot of times with arthritis, we have to, I'll go back to like the root of the word. Artho, it means joint. Itis means inflammation. And a lot of times when we have arthritis, we have to look at the whole picture. Knee arthritis, it's a lot of just stiffness in that knee.
Right.
Getting it moving, you might have tight muscles that are causing that joint to kind of stick together a little bit, maybe a little bit of weakness. Hands are one thing that you have to keep them moving as much as you can, because they will get stiff real quick.
Well, I even have them kind of lock up.
A little trigger finger.
You know what I'm saying there? Okay, my sister had it too. So, and
yeah.
Mom obviously had
Yeah.
arthritic,
Yeah.
really, really bad. You know.
So you keep it moving. You decrease. I try to educate people on their diet. You educate on inflammatory foods that you could eat, and then non-inflammatory foods that kind of decrease the inflammation in your body. So nutrition's a big part of that as well. Movement in areas that you don't typically move. So stretching, getting into range of motion that you should be able to go to, but you don't. Just a lot more movement.
Yoga's been hard to raise.
I bet it has. It is so funny though. Like we had the funny thing about Owensville is born and raised, and then you have people that come in and they're like, oh no.
Oh wow.
You're gonna be.
I've never sat cross-legged in my life before.
It's so funny because people are like, oh man, what are you gonna do to me? Like former teachers and things like that. But the arthritis is the biggest thing. That they come in for, and adding some stretches, adding some strengthening, supporting that joint, so it's not just the joint that is is relying on itself. It needs to rely on the muscles and the flexibility.
Saturday I went to a funeral of actually my sympathy goes out to the Koppelmans. Don Koppelman's wife passed away, and I was sitting and talking with people there that they're Bernie's, but they had just retired and they're doing some yoga, and and she said it's unbelievable, and these are normal people, you know what I'm saying? They haven't been pounding the pavement or doing whatever. They're just normal people.
Yeah.
And she just kind of shared, even after a few months, how much more flexible,
Yeah.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, that they are becoming. And I can see that, and flexibility. I've had arthritis. I used to play play
yeah.
football, and the next morning I would get up. My knees and my ankles, every bone hurt. So it's there. Do you know what I'm saying? It's there,
Yeah.
and my doctor sometimes asks me, well, how's your feet and how's your leg? Said about like after a ball game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then sometime during the week, those things that we have are exacerbated with age, but I think they're always there.
Yeah,
Do
sure.
you know what I'm saying?
100%, yeah.
I think a little neuropathy, you know what I'm saying? I remember some of the same things in my feet after I wore those stupid spikes that had not, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No cushions in them.
Yeah.
Some of the same feelings that I get today, Am I making sense?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It is. It is just a combination. Like we were talking about with aging, it's just one of those things that accumulates over time. You may have an injury. It's funny, I was telling them every time that it gets cold, my ankles remind me, hey, be careful, because how many times have you slipped on the ice or sprained your ankle or done whatever? It's the combination, as we age, we have more free radicals in our system, and that increase the inflammation, and it's just a part of it, but you can definitely turn that around.
And I think God puts in different things for us to change our lifestyle to some degree. That's my analogy of it, because a few years ago I had some anemia issues. Well, I mean, guess what I did for my arthritic pain? Aspirin, you know what I'm saying, aspirin or ibuprofen or whatever I was supposed to be taking. And you eat on them quite a bit, or not, but a fair amount. Girl, I don't know.
Yes. Well, and
but I quit, because they thought, well, Charlie, you maybe need, how many of these you taking? Maybe you've gotten some leakage here.
Yep.
So I quit them about 3 or 4 years ago. I mean, I've taken ibuprofen, maybe once every 6 months, you know what I'm saying, but not very, I don't take them anymore. But you got to do these kind of things, so you just kind of live with whatever and try to keep active.
Well, and people think that that's. Fortunately, I believe that we're trying to transition out of the medication. I think the opioid epidemic really opened a bunch of people's eyes with pain medication, and like trying to get things a little bit more conservative based, and what's a little more conservative than just exercise and diet. So fortunately, PTs have been a big push toward that. Just trying to be more conservative, not as much ibuprofen, so the leaky gut doesn't start, and things like that. But yeah.
I just read that in your sports, and Chris would probably, and I'm not anywhere close to that, but I do get older. I try to follow things, and I just seen that the Buffalo Bills, I think, coach, you know what I'm saying, was hospitalized for opioids. You know what I'm saying? He was unresponsive.
Yeah.
Well, here's a guy that's probably in his 80s.
Yeah.
So we don't think of those things as
the opioid epidemic.
Opioid epidemic in a billionaire, you know what I'm saying, that's 80.
Yeah.
You don't even put that. It's all kids at high school and fentanyl and those particular things. But it has no limitation. It is through every bit of society.
Yeah, and a lot of unfortunate things, like somebody will start on a pain medicine for a car accident or a surgery or something like that, and we just have to be really cognizant of that as healthcare providers, to say, okay, what else can we do for your pain management? And that's what I love about my job. I don't write prescriptions for that. I write prescriptions for exercise and movement and manual therapy. There's amazing things. We've started doing dry needling, which has completely changed the game of pain management for my clients. And so there's a lot of options out there for people instead of just taking pain meds.
Therapy requires work.
Yeah, of course.
Therapy requires structure and some discipline, to do. I read this in a book.
Well done. I like the book that you read.
But Anita and Potential will help you make this transition, because it's real. There are so many wonderful things that can be done with your body. And I read one time, and I do believe this because I've seen it to myself, like if you start a new regimen, or you start eating differently or whatever, your cells renew themselves in such a quick time, in months. You know what I'm saying? You've got all new cells, and so I think that's something like that. So I've been talking to my cells.
The body.
Get out now, buddy.
The body is super resilient, and
Yeah.
it is an absolute incredible. It's incredible what the body is capable of doing.
We're going to come back and talk with Anita. I know you're enjoying this. I absolutely, because I am, and it's so real, and there's so much here to talk about, and so many great people that are out there to help us in a lot of different ways. Anita and Potential is who we're talking with today, and we're going to come back and highlight some of their programs, that they have here for a whole combination of things here on KTUI 1560 AM, 94.1 FM, or possibly, and I hope you're watching on Facebook Live. If so, It's a great thing, and we'll be back as soon as Grace tells us what's going on. You don't have no paper in front of you.
don't
Are
have
you
any
doing
paper.
this all off the top of your head today?
yeah.
Did you memorize the Owensville paper?
did.
And
There's not much going on this time of the year.
well, we got a lot going on, don't we?
do here, yes. But the other thing, I know it's not in the paper yet, but our polar bear barbecue at our church will be February 4th, starting at noon until 2.
What are we having? Oh, have you found the polar bears yet?
I have not. I know pork steaks and brats
I-
is what we'll be having, so.
Larry's in charge of that most of the time, Larry Rockabarmer, and he's a great cook.
He is.
His recipes,
And if he doesn't do it, he's good at finding somebody to do it.
well, and we do it here at the White Mule, rain, shine, or snow, in the morning, and we have a good time to do that, and people are very supportive, you know what I'm saying? They come out, of course, when is it? February the what?
4th.
So, a lot of times this time of year, we kind of forget about those. I don't forget about food.
Barbecue, not much this time of the year.
Barbecue, and it's all good. So the 4th, and we'll talk about that more as the time goes. But
Yes.
what else we got going on here then at the White Mule or in the community?
This Friday night at the White Mule, we will be serving steaks, grilled shrimp, beef kebabs, country fried steak, and Italian cheesy chicken from 5 until 8:30. Saturday, we will have pizza, wings, and hamburgers from noon until 5, and then our steak dinners and grilled shrimp until 8 after that. And then Sundays, all you can eat pan-fried chicken from 11 until 3:30.
You're making me hungry, even though
It's a good thing.
it is a good thing, all of that sounded good today for some reason, and sometimes chicken doesn't sound that good after Tuesday.
Right.
If we've got leftovers or whatever, but hey, we have a birthday in the family this week. Actually, 2 birthdays this week. Woodrow is 33 years old today, so
Happy birthday, Woody.
happy birthday, Woody. I'm sure he's not listening, but because he never did. And the Gracie, but happy birthday, Woody, and our second born, Weston, had a birthday this Tuesday, and is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
and
5.
Weston is 5.
Yep.
He is the second oldest of our grandkids, and he's beefing it up today. He's at grandma's today, and he's
It's Weston's birthday month. And he
And-
claims to have 2 birthdays, so we'll see how that goes.
No, it's all good, and so what else you got?
That's all that I have. Had a couple nice days. It's gonna get a little colder. 3 might seem like a little bit of a heat wave after what we've been through, but we will see.
We will see.
Spring will be here soon enough.
So, we are talking with Anita Altemeyer, a great friend of the family, a great business, in Owensville, and there is a lot of ways that you can go about getting a hold of potential. Got a website?
We do have a website.
And-
It's at potentialtherapyservices.com.
potentialtherapyservices.com,
Yes.
and that's pretty easy to
Yeah,
remember.
that's pretty easy to remember. We try to
yeah.
keep it simple.
Now, you got a whole multitude of things,
Sure.
but you get people coming in off the street.
Sure, yeah.
A lot of times, and what do you offer to those individuals that maybe isn't directed to your place by a doctor or
Sure.
somebody else or whatever, but what do you offer them?
Sure. So the neat thing now is just this past August, it passed the Missouri State bill of direct access. So anybody is able to come in and get a physical therapy evaluation or an assessment directly off of, coming off the streets. And
Really?
Yes, so you don't need a doctor's order. We still have fantastic referral sources in Owensville. We've got great doctors around the area that still refer a lot of patients, but some people that just may have sprained their ankle or tweaked their knee a little bit and wants it checked out quickly, we're able to do that for them.
Is there a cost, of course, to that?
Yes, there's a cost. We run every insurance.
Sure.
We have all insurance based. We also do a cash pay service as well, and we also have different aspects. We can do dry needling, like I was explaining to you earlier. That has changed a lot of chronic pain patients.
Okay.
And we do that separately. We can do that separately as well. We have classes, functional fitness classes. We're not considered a gym because sometimes people just come in and work out. I want to watch them move. I want coaches to be able to watch them move, make sure that they're doing it correctly. So we have those, we call it Potential Fit, and we have those classes on Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays at 5 a.m. and 6 a.m., and then Monday, Wednesday, Thursdays at 5 p.m. We also have our Legends class, which is an elder adult functional fitness class. That is on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays.
What is the criteria for older adults?
I would say
I didn't want to know.
You do qualify.
you would qualify. You're fine. So we would say anybody from like 55 to
Okay.
Older.
Sure.
So if people more retired age, we do the same workouts that we do at the other functional fitness. We just scale it down. Everybody's able to do things. I'm sure I'm forgetting. We do golf analysis. For golfers, we do running analysis. I'm a running gait analysis certified, and there's all kinds of things. Any ailment, if you want to get better at performance, give me a call. I can help you out there.
That's awesome. But an awful lot of your therapy is comes with a prescription. You know
Sure,
what I'm
yeah.
saying? And a lot of these particular things are paid for, you know what I'm saying, through your Medicare, Medicaid, whatever, your insurance, because, that's the big role.
Sure.
And that has put, I think, therapy as far, and I think it's a sustaining thing of medicine.
Sure.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I mean, yes, you can go have surgery and
Sure.
do whatever and correct this or whatever, but a lot of times, if you want to sustain that and keep it where it is, it requires some effort, correct?
Absolutely. Yes.
And, that's what makes physical therapy, what it is, and it's sustainable. And we're just glad to have you around, and be part of our community and be part of the wellness, that is there. And Anita, I wish you even more success,
Thank you.
And tell your mother and dad hello
I sure
too.
will. I sure will.
And, you've got all of this, then you got Chris to take care of.
Yeah. Yeah.
I appreciate it very much. God bless you. Our door is always open.
Absolutely.
And you're there, and Happy New Year to you. And you're coming back, okay?
Okay. Sounds
We
great.
will come back on a continual basis and
Maybe we'll have you do a burpee.
We should do that.
help. I don't need a button
You
yet,
like
maybe. But I do start getting a cell phone because I got stuck on the ATV way back, and I had to walk all the way home. Wet.
If you had a little therapy, it would have been a little
So Karen made me get a cell phone, but whatever. I don't carry it most of the time anyway, but hey, God bless you.
Thank you so much for
Tell your
having me.
family hello, and God bless you, and good for you to be along with us this week on KTUI 1560 AM, 94.1 FM, or possibly Facebook Live, and we will be back next week. Do you know who's coming next week? We got.
yes.
Well, you want to share that, or are we keeping that a secret? Okay, it's a surprise, yes.
Jerry Reinhold's son-in-law.
Okay, all right, Tony.
Tony, yes.
Tony is coming next week, and we're going to talk. Oh God, you'll love the show next week too, because Tony is a great guy. We're going to talk about everything on electric and Reinhold and our community. There, it all goes together as all of these wonderful businesses do. God bless you. See you next week. Be warm out there, and hopefully don't have to shovel too much snow.
Ice in the Pacific Northwest challenging commuters as well. Roads remain slick across much of the country.
The reality is